Welcome, dear listener, to the Secrets for a Happy Life podcast, born from my desire to share the knowledge I've acquired on leading a better life, interwoven with diverse experiences from my travels, years of studying psychology, and life lessons. I'm Petra Kmetec-Bitens, your guide on this journey on rediscovering joy, productivity, and the essence of living a fulfilled life. Yeah, self-esteem is, for me, one of my key topics. I really love to talk about it because it's so important in how we show in the world and how the world perceives us. And if we don't have it, then we should start doing something towards it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's so important because it affects how we show up in the world in all the areas of our life. If we feel like we are not really worthy, then it affects the way we show up in our professional life. We may not really go for the dreams we have. We may not speak up in meetings. We may not request a different role in a company we're working for instance. It also affects our personal relationships. And I think, it's just one of the really fundamental topics to cover.
Yeah, and in personal relationships, now that you mentioned, we don't set the boundaries that we should or that we feel that we could set to protect ourselves if we don't feel this self-esteem that we are okay with ourselves. You have any case study in mind? Like, what can we show people how this affects their lives? Maybe somebody will find themselves in one of those.
Well, the one case that comes to mind was actually someone I worked with who was, and sometimes we think of the issue, in these exact words, and we say that I have low self-esteem and I would like to increase my self-esteem. But it can also be worded slightly different in our head. I worked with someone who said that they felt like they were invisible, and that prevented the person from really stepping up and asking for a promotion that she was qualified to get, and she wanted to get it, but she was holding back from asking for it. It was holding her back from creating even the friendships that she wanted, because she had this belief that she didn't want to be seen because people may reject her. And so it was really holding her back in so many areas of her life. And she wasn't thinking of it as self-esteem issue, but in essence, that's what it was. And so when we work through subconscious mind, going for the root cause, fascinating as it always is, we got back to a really early life memory where she was kind of getting unpleasant emotions through her immediate environment whenever she was the center of attention. And so she adopted this belief that something was fundamentally wrong with her, and she thought it's better not to be seen, and then I don't get criticized, I don't get rejected, I don't get all those negative feelings that come with that. And once she realized that that was what she asked for when she was 4 or 5, and so she created it in a way that gave her the power to remove that and to say, well, no, now it's okay. I want to be seen. I want to be visible. I'm worthy of being active in this world and creating those friendships, and just really reframing and understanding sometimes where certain beliefs come from and how invalid they are. It can be a game changer. Do you have any cases that come to mind?
Now that you were talking about it, it came to my mind that actually low self-esteem is something that we try to shield ourselves with, because if we act with a low self-esteem, with this feeling in mind that, oh, nobody will want to talk with me, I'm not interesting, nobody will listen to me, I don't have anything wise to say, I don't want to reach out to somebody because they might reject me. That is actually preventing us to do it, but it's actually also, in a sense, but not a good way sense, shielding us from being hurt again. As you said that your client had this experience in her early childhood. And it's really good to know why we feel like this. But okay, maybe we even don't have to know why. Just that we need to know that we can change this and become a better version of ourselves, and not to be afraid as a little girl or boy, because we are grown-ups now. And my adult version of me doesn't have to be afraid of rejection, because that's normal life. Sometimes we get rejected, sometimes we get really praised for the same thing. And I think this distinction between my childhood self and my now self is also something that we can work on, and then slowly integrating those two, so we feel like really one whole self. Yeah,
I love that, and we do all carry these little versions of ourselves, wounded children in some way, and quite often when we are triggered, we actually act from that place, and it's almost some part of our psyche believes we are 2, 3, 4-year-old, and so of course it's a very vulnerable place. At that age we cannot really take care of ourselves, so really just understanding that it's a very different situation now. You have the tools, and even if you are rejected, you'll be okay. You can survive on your own.
Yes.
So that's an important reminder.
And I can speak for myself. Whenever I catch myself that I am afraid of something, I ask myself, okay, which part of me is now afraid? Is this my inner child? Is it afraid? The 5-year-old version of me? Or is something that I can really improve before I do it? And usually it's just some insecurity in me, and I'm totally okay with when I start to think about it. I'm totally okay with the situation, and then I do it, and I feel good around it. But before, I just have this inner feeling, this kind of uneasy feeling, like I'm scared, I'm afraid of doing it, and I don't even know why. So that's a good time to stop and just ask yourself, what is beneath this fear? What is beneath this feeling that I have now? And just research a bit, be as a scientist in the lab, and just go with your feelings and see what is lurking beneath it. And sometimes we dig up really good treasures.
Yeah, absolutely. Being a bit of a detective, I like that. I would also like to distinguish between the self-esteem and confidence, because quite often those get mixed up, and someone may come across very confident, and at the same time they may have quite low self-esteem.
Yes.
And plenty of examples within famous people as well. For example, Marilyn Monroe is super confident, one of the sex idols for a century, and at the same time she had very low self-esteem, and she had a very difficult childhood, and we can talk about where low self-esteem usually comes from. But confidence is often around certain competences that we possess. So we may know that we are great at the job that we do, so we can deliver good outcomes, and so that builds up the confidence, and we feel good about ourselves, usually in a very specific area of our life. But self-esteem as such is more fundamental, and it's really what we believe about ourselves on a very deep level. How worthy are we? How deserving of all the good things in life are we? I think that's kind of how I see it. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Oh, can I just read this out? As a digital psychologist, I would say that our self-esteem is something we are born with. People many times wrongly think it's ego, but it's not. That's two different things. Yeah, I agree. Ego is not self-esteem, and a lot of people with big egos have really low self-esteem, as you mentioned before. And also, I think when we see people who are coming that have this really big persona that are full of themselves, usually there is some scared child that is hiding beneath this appearance that we give, because this is our shield. If I act really strong, if I act really like big ego, nothing can hurt me, then this is a shield of my inner wounded child. And so next time when you have somebody like that in front of you, maybe act differently, not in defensive mode, but in compassionate mode, and see what happens.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because those people can be quite intimidating, or they can be really off-putting in a way. We often don't feel comfortable in the presence of someone who's just, bigger than the world, and they're just so fond of themselves. The grandiosity is just everywhere. But as you said, if you look at them with a lot of compassion and understand that actually the person is likely very insecure in many ways, and is just really scared that you will see through all this facade, you may see it very differently, the whole interaction.
Now when that we are talking about this, I remember in one of my first years of psychology trainings, my mentor said that if you try to put those grandiose people down, they will collapse, because that is the only thing that holds them alive. And you have to slowly build their self-esteem up, because otherwise, if you just want to break this grandiose field around them, they will just collapse. They will not survive it. And sometimes it's also like this when we put our whole life, we built our whole life around one aspect, like I'm really good in my job and nothing else matters, because I don't feel worthy to have really good relationship. And then this job or our career is over, we get retired, and then what now? Then everything comes up again, and all those insecurities about ourselves were not good. So I think it's a good thing that we talk about it today. So maybe people can start to do something about it, to maybe look at it from different perspective, not like if I'm more self-aware or if I have bigger self-esteem, that will make me like I have a narcissistic personal trait. No, it's something that it's fundamental, like you beautifully said, Irina, before. This is who we are. This is our core, and we are born with that, and then we just try to dim it later in our lives because of our childhood experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I think, if you don't keep yourself in high esteem, it's more difficult to actually relate to other people in a healthy way. But to the point that was mentioned also earlier in the comment, and what you're saying that we are born with, I would just want to clarify my view on this. I think I'm more aligned with what you said, is that we are born with healthy self-esteem, with a view that we are okay, we are good, we are what we need to be in this world. A baby is born, they don't think, oh, my legs are chubby, or don't look at me, I've got, bad hair day. No, they're just smiling, they're pure joy. They just, if nothing bothers them on a physical level, they're pretty content with themselves the way they are. So I do believe that we come into this world with healthy levels of self-esteem, and that what happens after, and usually in the early years, as you were saying as well, Petra, is that when we pick up something is not right with us, and we buy into that, because the first few years we're like a sponge, we just absorb everything without any filter. And sometimes it's not even the actual messaging, but it's our interpretation. Maybe the parents are stressed out, or they're busy working long hours, and the only way 1-year-old can interpret it is that something is wrong with them. That's why the parents are not wanting to spend time with this baby, because I'm just not good enough, which isn't even true, but that becomes the story that they may live with for the next 50, 60 years until they actually realize that they can rewrite this story.
And this is a good, really good point, what you said, when they realize they can rewrite the story. And I think this is
because it's a story, right? We're just telling ourselves stories. Yeah. It's not even true. Well, it could be true. Maybe the parents didn't really like the child, but most of the parents, they really try their best, but the circumstances are what they are. And I think nowadays the world is not very supportive of having families. The way that the stress that is placed on families, most of them do not have extended support of wider family as we used to have, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and what have you. A lot of families now are actually a single parent, or even the two parents. It's still so much to take on. So even if they absolutely love that child, they're not always present for it.
So what would you say from your experiences? What helps the most with clients, with people? What can we do for ourselves that we start to see that, maybe this is something that I can work on? And what could be the steps that we can implement in our daily activities, in our daily lives to boost our self-esteem a bit and to see our true worth?
I would say, as always, the first step is awareness, is recognizing that it's not where you would like it to be. And then look for that story you're telling yourself. What is this story? Am I not smart enough? Am I not good looking enough? Am I not... Whatever your story is, just find your story and then challenge your story. Every time it pops up in your head, maybe it says, I'm not smart enough to apply for this job. Well, think of 5 situations in your life that prove you wrong, where you actually did something that means you're very smart. And I think this is a good starting point. If you recognize that it's really holding you back and you can't process it on your own, therapy, coaching, there is all sorts of support out there. Do reach out. It really will expedite your journey. If you can go alone at 5 kilometers an hour with the right support, you go 80 per hour. So again, that's 80 time. Do you have any other tips on this?
I always go to journaling. Yes. Because I think journaling is something that wakens up our awareness around our behavior, our thoughts, and our thinking. And when we become aware, then we can start changing things. Before that, we cannot. We just say, okay, that is me, nothing can be changed, and that's it, period. But when we start to gain awareness around why am I the way I am, then we can start changing a little bit. And I think when we see some patterns that arrive in our thoughts or behaviors, then we can approach them. Why am I the way I am? And what can I do to prevent that? And you said, see the 5 counter examples. And I have one really good exercise technique. You can have like 2 jars, and in one jar you just put everything. Okay, this is me. If somebody acts really badly on my, whatever I said. And then you put the, green ones or red ones or yellow ones that are happy colors into all the interactions with other people that you were perceived good. And then you will see which jar is feeling faster. And usually we get a lot more compliments or positive feedback from people that we are not aware of. But if we are aware of and we are keeping track on, we can see that this jar is filling really more rapidly than the other. That's one technique, and I had one in mind and it just slipped me. What can we also do? Writing down maybe all the compliments that we received. And I started doing that 7-8 years ago. And whenever I feel like I'm really in a bad mood, or that, when we have PMS and before the periods, the 1 week is total, everything is black or white, and usually everything is black. Then I go and I check those compliments, because after every coaching session, I get really, really good feedback, and I can just read them out. You really helped me. You did that good. You did that well. And then I'm okay. It's not so black. Everything is okay. You just have this phase maybe, or you need to rest a bit, and it will be tomorrow. It will be good. Okay. So I think those two techniques are something that helps many of my clients to see their true worth, and they start to shine again.
Yeah, I love that. And the last one you mentioned reminded me of something else that we can advise perhaps to do, and that's a powerful tool. So I think quite often when the person recognizes that they have low self-esteem is because they were not nurtured in their early childhood the way they needed. So it's almost like they didn't hear the things they needed to hear from their parents or immediate environment. So, and it's even when someone tells you, if you never heard it before, if they kept telling you you're stupid, you're useless, or you just didn't get anything positive, and if you start hearing it from outside, quite often we won't let it in because it's so unfamiliar. So it's like, yeah, they're probably saying it because they're just too polite, or there is almost this invisible critic that just doesn't believe it, and it's just, nah, it's not serious because it's unfamiliar. So what we need to do is make it familiar. How do you make it familiar? Again, you can write it down, or you can just think of everything you wanted to hear. You're a good person, you're smart, you're beautiful, you're capable, so whatever it is that you specifically needed to hear, and you perhaps didn't hear enough of, give it to yourself. You can stand in front of the mirror and say, you're awesome, you're amazing, you're capable, you've got this, you'll be fine. Whatever it is, it will be super weird the first time you do it. You will not probably even believe yourself. Just keep doing it. And the more you do it, the more familiar it becomes. And then it pushes out the old habits. And so if you told yourself 5 times you're smart, you're capable, you've got this, when someone else tells you this, you might be more inclined to let it in that time, because it's a little bit more familiar. And after practice for some time, the rest would be just in the past in complete noise, and you'll just know you're smart, you're great, you're here for a reason, and you have a lot of value because you're just a unique expression of this life.
Maybe somebody who is listening now is thinking, oh, this is some woo-woo stuff, but they actually did some studies around this and they prove it right. So it's not something that, oh, if I say myself, this is just nah. No,
there was that experiment. What did they do? They did 3 different jars with, I can't remember what it was. And one of them, they were talking negative words, and the one they said nothing, and the third one, they were talking positive words. And I can't remember if it was a plant they were growing or it was...
Yeah, there were plants,
Yeah, so the one that was getting all the negative comments just died very soon. And the one that was receiving all the positive, it was thriving. And I think the one that didn't get anything was kind of doing okay. I don't remember exact details, but it was a study made on this. So yeah, it's not woo-woo, it's really documented and proven. Because it's mind-body connection, which again, we respond to, the body responds to our thoughts.
And then we are back back to self-compassion and how we react to ourselves. And if we are gentle with ourselves, then we can start slowly building up. So start with that.
Yeah. And I think that the last point that we didn't mention. I think I was talking about how the self-esteem is to a large extent affected in our early years, but I think nowadays what's also not helping a lot of people is all the exposure we have to social media and the comparison that inevitably kicks in when you see all these people living their best lives. We don't see that very possibly after posting the picture with hashtag my best life, the person goes and takes an antidepressant pill or has 5 drinks or just goes and cries in the corner. What we see is this beautiful, amazing life, and what we unconsciously make ourselves believe is that, oh, I'm doing something wrong, something is not right with me, because everyone is having this amazing life, the beautiful relationships and so on, and here I am feeling like I don't have it all. So just a reminder, you are not really comparing apples to apples, because you're comparing your reality to whatever someone wants to show you.
Yeah.
So I think quite a...
Here is also something like some people are really content with having a small garden and the whole day just being there and taking care for the plants, while others love to live in a big mansion with everything, with great cars. And if you don't feel like the big mansion and with great cars put any value to your life, then why compare yourself with them? Just be happy with your little garden if this is something that fills up your soul and your heart. So I think social media is giving us this false impression that everything should be in these superlatives and everything should be grandiose and big and shiny. But why? Why?
Yeah. That's a great point as well. Very true. But then one needs to actually know themselves on quite a deep level to recognize what is it that I want, not what my told me I want, not what my friends want for themselves, not what they show me on social media that I should want for myself. Because it's almost like there is some sort of golden standard for everyone, but we are, as you said, very much unique, and someone is really happy with not that much of external things, but also it's about nurturing your internal world and connecting with yourself and understanding what would make you happy and content.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be something big in the end. It can be just sitting at home and reading a good book or having a chat with a friend. It can be enough. It doesn't have to be, I don't know, something special.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's half an hour again, somehow. I'm always flies. Anything else you want to mention to wrap it up for today?
Just that I'm really an introvert, and I think you are also. But when we start to talk about things that we really like and we are passionate about, then we could talk for hours. And I think this is also something that we can take in mind, that if we like something, then just go for it and explore it, and don't feel pressured from outside. And don't believe everything your mind is telling you, because usually those thoughts, especially negative ones, aren't true, aren't yours. And plant the good thoughts in your mind also.
Perfect. Good way to wrap it up. Thank you all for watching us. And thank you, Petra, for another wonderful conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
Monday.
Have a great day.
Very good.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.